We shall begin chapter 13 of Mathematics class 11, Limits and Derivatives. Limit x tends to a minus fx is the expected value of f at x is equal to a, given the values of f near x to left of a. This value is called the left hand limit of f at a. So this value is the expected value of a function f at x is equal to a, and this value is near x but to the left of a, that you call as a left hand limit. Limit x tends to a plus fx is the expected value of f at x equal to a, given the values of f near x to the right of a. This value is called the right hand limit of fx at a. So now this value is the expected value of function f at x equal to a, but this is of near x but to the to the right of a. Then you call this as the right hand limit of fx at a. If the right hand and left hand limits coincide, that common value is called the limit of fx at x is equal to a, and it is denoted by limit x tends to a f of x. So suppose the left hand limit and the right hand limit are coinciding, that common value we call it as a limit of a function, and it is denoted by limit x tends to a f of x. Algebra of limits. Theorem 1. Let f and g be two functions such that limit x tends to a fx and limit x tends to a gx exist. Then, number 1, limit x tends to a f of x plus or minus gx. If there is addition or subtraction of two or more functions, then you give limit to each function separately. Okay, so here you can give limit, so equal to limit x tends to a fx plus or minus limit x tends to a gx. Number 2, limit x tends to a fx into gx. Now if there is a product of two or more function, then the limit is given to all the individual functions separately. So here you can give equal to limit x tends to a fx into limit x tends to a gx. Number 3, limit x tends to a fx by gx. This is like a quotient. So here limit is given to the numerator and denominator separately. So here you get limit x tends to a fx divided by limit x tends to a gx, provided gx should not be 0. Limit x tends to a lambda fx. Now this lambda is any real number. Then the real number or the constant you can just take out of the limit, and this will give you equal to lambda. Limit x tends to a fx, lambda belongs to R. Limits of polynomials and rational functions. First we'll define the polynomial function. A function f is said to be a polynomial function of degree n if fx equal to a0 plus a1x plus a2x square plus up to plus an x power n, where all ai's are real numbers belonging to R, such that an is not equal to 0 for some natural number n. Limit x tends to a x equal to a. Now here this is the limit of this x, a simple polynomial. Okay, if there is a x, then there is nothing to simplify, so you just place the value of x equal to a here. So limit of this will be a. Similarly, suppose you have got limit x tends to a x square, then this x square can be written as x into x. Now we know that by algebra of limit, if it is a product, you can give limit to each term, right? So here also you can give limit to both the x. So this can be written as limit x tends to a into x into limit x tends to a x. Now this limit from here it is a, so this is a into a, so a square. That means what we have proved, limit x tends to a x square equal to a square. So we can say that limit x tends to a x power n will be equal to a power n. Okay, now let us find the limit of the polynomial function. Now let fx equal to a0 plus a1x plus a2x square plus a3x cube plus up to plus an x power n be a polynomial. Take limit on both the sides. So here limit x tends to a fx equal to limit x tends to a, and this term I am writing in the bracket. Now by algebra of limit, you give limit to each term separately. So equal to, I give to each term limit x tends to a0 plus limit x tends to a a1x plus limit x tends to a this one a2x square plus up to plus limit x tends to a an x power n. Now here there is no x at all, right? So there is no x to put the value of x equal to a. That means the limit of this will be a0. Okay, and here a1, a2, a3 up to an, these all are constant. Okay, if they are constant, you can just take out of the limit. So this you can take out of the limit, and this we can write as a1 limit x tends to a, here remains x, plus here take a2 out of the limit, so a2 limit x tends to a x square plus up to plus an out of the limit, so an limit x tends to a x power n. Now already we know that if it is x, you can put the value of x as a, so this limit of this is a. Same way x square, then a square. So what we get here is a naught as it is plus a1 as it is. Limit of this will be a plus a2 as it is. Limit of x square will be a square plus the next will be a power a3 a cube plus up to plus this will be a n, and here a power n, and this you can say it is nothing but f of a. So what we have proved is limit x tends to a, fx is equal to f of a. Okay, so that is a limit for a polynomial function. Now let us define the rational function. A function f is said to be rational function if fx is equal to gx by hx, where gx and hx are polynomial functions such that hx should not be 0. So limit x tends to a fx. So now give limit to numerator denominator. So here limit x tends to a gx divided by limit x tends to a hx. Now you know limit x tends to a fx value is f of a. Similarly, this also two are polynomial. So limit of this will be ga and limit of this will be ha. Now suppose ha equal to 0, then if ha is equal to 0, and we can have two possibilities. Okay, they are ga can be 0 also, j can be non-zero also. Okay, so let us prove for that. So ha is 0, okay, in both the cases, but suppose ga also not 0 and 0. So first let us take not 0. If this is not 0, then limit does not exist. But suppose j is 0, then you factorize this gx and hx such that suppose gx factors are x minus a power k g1x, and where k is the maximum power of x minus a in gx. Similarly, hx factors are x minus a power l h1x. We are just factorizing. Now suppose k is greater than l, the power of this is greater than the power of this one, then limit x tends to a fx equal to limit x tends to a, these factors you have found this one, so put here x minus a power k g1x, and these hx factors are this one, so put here x minus a power l h1x. Okay, now this base is same, so you can combine the power, right, and k is greater than l, so you can write here limit x tends to a x minus a power k minus l g1x by h1x. Now give limit to each term. Okay, so when you put here x equal to a value, it will become x minus a means 0, so 0 power anything is 0, so here 0. Give limit here, so here x equal to a, so g1a, divide by here also give limit, so h1a, but 0 into anything is 0, so this part will be 0, so that means the limit of this is 0. And suppose k is less than l, the limit does not exist or the limit is not defined. Okay, so these are the limit of a polynomial function and the rational function. Theorem 2. For any positive integer n, limit x tends to a x power n minus a power n x minus a equal to n into a power n minus 1. You can consider this is a like a formula or a result, and you should remember that we shall use this for calculation. Let us prove this. Divide x power n minus a power n by x minus a. So when you are dividing means you are finding the factors of this. Okay, so when you find the factors of this, I can write this as a x power n minus a power n equal to x minus a. The x power will decrease one by one and a power will increase in each term by 1. Okay, so this when you take x minus a, you can write this as x power n minus 1 plus x power n minus 2a plus x power n minus 3a square plus x power n minus 4a cube plus up to plus x a power n minus 2 plus a power n minus 1. This you can try to understand by the known result of power 3. Okay, let us try to see that. See, you know this a cube minus b cube. You know the factors of a cube minus b cube. I have written a minus b. The second bracket will be a square plus ab plus b square. Right? Now close the bracket. Correct? Now you can see this a square. See, a power 3, a minus b is taken factor. 1 out, right? So if 3, then starting a power 2, then here you can say a power 1, and here you can say a power 0 because a power 0 is 1. Okay, and the second term power 3 is there, right? So you will start with the 0 power, that is b power 0 is 1, right? Here 1 power, then here 2 power, and 2 is the highest because 3 is there, so it should be less than this 1. Okay, 3 then less than 3, 1 is 2, right? So this is what. Now similarly, if you want to write for this one, okay, how you can write is the first bracket is x minus a, right? And the second bracket here n is there, here 3 then 2, so you can write x power n minus 1, right? And a power 0 we do not write, plus x power one more term less, so n minus 2, and that time a power 1 will come. Okay, see b power 1 here, right? So same way you can write up to the last term. In the last term you'll get x power 0 and a power will be highest less than 1. Okay, this one highest is n, so less than that it is 1, that is a power n minus 1. Okay, so if you compare with this, I think you can try to understand this with the comparing with this. Okay, now transfer this over here. So x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a, and take limit on both the sides. So limit x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a, limit x tends to a, and this I am just writing in the bracket, and this already transfer here. Now you give limit to each term separately. Now when you give to limit, then here all are single functions. This when you give here value of, there is nothing to simplify, right? So what you will do, you put the value of x is equal to a. Wherever is x, you put x equal to a. That means you are giving the limit, right? So let us put here instead of x a, so a power n minus 1 plus here a power n minus 2 into a, plus here a power n minus 3 a square, plus up to plus here a power n minus 2, plus here there is a no x, that means there is no point on putting the value of a. So here comes this a power n minus 1 as it is. Okay, now here a power n minus 1 as it is, these two power if you combine, here n minus 2 plus 1 power, so you get a power n minus 1 power, plus here also you will get a power n minus 1, plus up to plus the last one is a power n minus 1, this is n times, right? So we can say that it is n times, so we can say n into a power n minus 1. Okay, and that is what you have to prove. So hence the proof. Theorem 3, let f and g be two real valued functions with same domain such that fx is less than or equal to gx for all x in domain of definition. For some a, if both limit x tends to a fx and limit x tends to a gx exist, then limit x tends to a fx is less than or equal to limit x tends to a gx. Here the theorem says that if you have got two functions fx and gx and the relation between them is one is smaller than the other, and you find the limit of these and limit of these, and the inequality remains the same. This limit x tends to a fx is less than or equal to limit x tends to a gx. This inequality remains the same. Okay, so that is what the function, this theorem says. In this figure you can see this is my fx and this is gx. Fx is less than gx, then if you find the derivative, the limit at this point, then you will get the limit of these will be smaller than the limit of this one. Theorem 4, sandwich theorem. Let f, g and h be real functions such that fx is less than or equal to gx is less than or equal to hx for all x in the common domain of definition. For some real number a, if limit x tends to a fx equal to L equal to limit x tends to a hx, then limit x tends to a gx equal to L. Now here what they say, there are three functions, okay, where f is less than gx less than hx. Suppose the limit of these two functions is equal to L, then the limit of gx will be also L. Okay, so if these two limits are same, then this limit also will be equal to that. But condition is that this function should lie between these two functions. Okay, and here they have shown in the figure. For trigonometric functions, prove that cos x less than sin x by x less than 1, 0 less than modulus of x less than pi by 2. Now we know that sin minus x equal to minus sin x and cos minus x equal to cos x. Okay, this we have done in chapter 3. That sin is a odd function, so if there is negative here, the negative comes here, so minus sin x. And if sin here for cos is even function, so this minus will just cancel out. Okay, therefore it is sufficient to prove inequality for 0 less than x less than pi by 2. Okay, because of this we shall prove only for 0 less than x less than pi by 2. Consider unit circle with center at origin. So this is the unit circle and origin is the center. Take angle AOC equal to x radian. Take this angle AOC as x radian. Draw CD perpendicular to OA and AB perpendicular to OA and join AC. From C, draw perpendicular on OA. From B, this is you have to produce OC. Okay, produce OC and draw from B perpendicular on OA. Okay, and you join this A and C. Okay, join these. Now in this figure you can see there are two more triangles, but we will consider the two triangles. This one is O, A and C, right? This one triangle. Another triangle is O, A, B, right? And we have got one sector. Okay, the sector is O, A, and this green line and C. Okay, so this we have got the triangle OAC, then the sector OAC, this sector from the green line, and the triangle OAB. Okay, we have got the two triangles and a sector, and the relation between this is area of triangle OAC is less than area of sector OAC is less than area of triangle OAB. Okay, you can see this O, A and C, this area of the triangle is less than the area of the sector OA, and this all will come and C, and is definitely less than the area of the triangle OAB, right? Now let us use the formula of area of the triangle, that is half base altitude, right? So half OAC, the base is OA, right? And CD is the altitude. Less than area of the sector, you have done in class 10, it is pi r square theta divided by 360. Pi as it is r, radius, so a radius here is OA, right? So you write OA square, and theta is this x radian, right? So you write x, and 360 in a radian is 2 pi, and this area of the OAB triangle is 1 by 2 base is OA and altitude is AB, so OA into AB. Now all these have got OA and all have got 2, so you can cancel here OA and 2 because all the 3 terms have, right? So you can divide each term by OA and also 2, right? So OA by 2. Again here pi is there, so this pi you can cut. So what remains here is CD less than x, 1 OA remains, these 2 cancel, pi also cut, less than, here what remains here is 2 and OA is cut, here remains AB, right? Now in the triangle OC and D, in this right angle triangle OCD, okay, apply sin x. So sin x is equal to opposite by hypotenuse, so opposite is CD and hypotenuse is OC, right? So you can write sin x equal to CD by OC. OC is equal to the radius, OC is also radius and OA also radius, so instead of OC you write OA, so I can write CD by OA. Now OA transferred over here, so you get CD value equal to OA sin x. Now in the bigger triangle OAB, apply tan x, okay, tan x, this tan theta, tan x equal to opposite side divided by adjacent side, so AB divided by OA, so I can write here tan x equal to AB by OA. OA transfer over here, so you get AB equal to OA tan x. Now you have found CD and AB value, both put in this value, okay? So a CD value you have OA sin x, so OA sin x less than x, OA as it is, less than AB value is this one OA tan x, OA tan x. Now all have got OA, cut, you get here sin x less than tan x. Tan x can be written as sin by cos. Now divide by sin x greater than 0 because it is in the first quadrant, so sin x is positive, so divide by that each term. So when you divide here you get 1, less than here x by sin x, less than, here you cut sin, so you get 1 by cos. Now taking the reciprocal, when you take reciprocal, inequality will change. So this will, when you take a reciprocal, you will get cos x less than sin x by x less than 1, and that is what you have to prove, okay? So hence the proof. So that is the proof for this inequality. Theorem 5. Number 1, limit x tends to 0 sin x by x equal to 1, and number 2, limit x tends to 0 1 minus cos x by x equal to 0. Now just now we prove this inequality, we shall use this cos x less than sin x by x less than 1, okay, this one we shall use. So I start with this cos x less than sin x by x less than 1. Take limit on all three terms. So limit x tends to 0 cos x less than limit x tends to 0 sin x by x less than limit x tends to 0 1. Now if you put x value as 0, so cos 0 is 1, so 1, limit of this is 1. Then this you keep as it is, 1 is a constant, so there is no x, so there is no point in putting a value of x, there is no x at all, so you can put this value, or the limit of this will be 1. Now you know this is 1, and this function is in between, so that means what you can say, that by sandwich theorem the limit of this also will be 1, so limit x tends to 0 sin x by x equal to 1, okay, and that is what you have to prove, hence proved. And this is very important result for calculation. Similarly, we can prove that limit x tends to 0 tan x by x equal to 1. Okay, so both the results are similar and they are both important. Okay, now let us prove the second part. For that we shall use the trigonometric identity, that is 1 minus cos x equal to 2 sin square x by 2. Okay, this we have done in chapter 3. Now take your given function, limit x tends to 0 1 minus cos x by x equal to limit x tends to 0 1 minus cos x, put this value 2 sin square x by 2, divide by x. Okay, now divide and multiply 2 in the denominator, so you divide and multiply in the denominator, I have done here, divide by 2, multiply by this 2 cut. Okay, so what you get here, and this sin square x by 2 you can write as sin x by 2 into sin x by 2. Okay, now sin x by 2 by x by 2, this limit will be 1. Why? Using this identity. Okay, here it is x, then it should be divided by x. Here x by 2, then divided by x by 2. Okay, these two should be same, then only the limit gives you 1. Okay, that is also condition, one of the condition. This angle and this should be same. Okay, and here it was x by 2, here it was x, that is why I divided multiply by 2. To use this result, I require denominator this value and denominator here, and this value should be same. Okay, so that is why. So this limit is 1, here you put 0, sin 0 is 0, so 1 into 0 gives you 0. Okay, so that is the proof of Roman number 2 for theorem 5. Next we have got the derivatives. Suppose f is a real valued function and a is a point in its domain of definition. The derivative of f at a is defined by f dash a, this is a symbol used, equal to limit h tends to 0 f of a plus h minus f of a by h, provided this limit exists. Okay, so this is a definition of the derivative at x is equal to a, okay, at a point a. Next we have got the derivative but at x equal to x or at x. Okay, suppose f is a real valued function, then f function defined by f dash x. Okay, instead of a it is x, limit h tends to 0 f of x plus h minus fx by h. See, only a is replaced by x. Whenever the limit exists, is defined to be the derivative of f at x. So this is derivative of f at x and this is at a point a. This definition of derivative is also called first principle of derivative. Okay, so this is also called first principle of derivative. Now we have got certain different kinds of notation or notations for the derivatives. Okay, so let us check that first. F dash s is also denoted by if fy is equal to fx, then dy by dx equal to f dash x. So this is one of the notation for derivative. This we can say that it is referred to as derivative of fx or y with respect to x. So derivative of y with respect to x. Another symbol is d of f of x. Other symbol is y dash, y1. Okay, so these are the various symbols. Now derivative of f at x equal to a, the first which I define. Okay, this first one. This also has got little different notations. Okay, so let us see that. So this can be denoted by d by dx of fx at a, df by dx at a, or df by dx x equal to a. Okay. Next we have got algebra of derivative of function. Number 1, d by dx of fx plus or minus gx. If there is addition or subtraction of two or more functions in derivative, then you give differentiate each term or each function separately and add up them or subtract them, whatever is the sign. So this I can write as a d by dx of fx plus or minus d by dx of gx. Number 2, product rule. So now if you have got a product of two functions or more than two functions, d by dx of fx gx equal to one of the function keep as it is. Suppose gx you keep as it is and differentiate the first one, that is d by dx of fx plus. Now what you have differentiated, keep as it is and differentiate the which you have not done, that is d by dx of gx. Now suppose you take fx as u and gx as v, then the same rule, the product rule, can be written as d by dx of uv or uv dash equal to v as it is, derivative of u, that is u dash, plus u as it is, derivative of v, that is v dash. The product rule also is called Leibniz rule. Okay, you remember this one. This also same, this also same, but this is in uv form and this is in fx gx form. Number 3, quotient rule, d by dx of fx by gx. In this, denominator as it is, d by dx of fx, numerator differentiation, minus now numerator fx as it is and differentiate the denominator, that is d by dx of gx, divide by square of the denominator, that is gx whole square. Now these also in uv terms, d by dx of u by v equal to denominator v as it is, differential of v, that is v u dash, differential of numerator, that is u dash, minus numerator u as it is and derivative of denominator, that is v dash, divide by square of the denominator, that is v square. So this is a quotient rule. It's useful this year also, next year also, and if you continue with mathematics it will be useful later on also, plus it is useful also in physics. So you should remember the quotient rule and the product rule. Okay, next we have got theorem 6, d by dx of x power n equal to n into x power n minus 1 and belongs to R. Let us prove this. D by dx of x power n, this x power n can be written as x power 1 into x power n minus 1. Okay, 1 I have not written, but it is x power 1, right? So this n can be separated in 2 power, x power 1, x power n minus 1. Now here you use the product rule. So first you keep this as it is, x power n minus 1 into d by dx of this first function, that is x, plus now x as it is, differential of second function, that is d by dx of this one, x power n minus 1, using the product rule. Dx by dx is 1 and this x power n minus 1 as it is, this x as it is, and this by induction hypothesis this value will come to be n minus 1 into x power n minus 2. Okay, now here see this one, x power n minus 1 into 1 means x power n minus 1, right? And here n minus 1, here x power 1 into x power n minus 2, this 2 if you combine you get x power n minus 1. Now here x power n minus 1, here x power n minus 1, take common, so you get here remains 1 plus here remains n minus 1, plus 1 minus 1 cut, here remains n, so you get n into x power n minus 1, and that is what you have to prove. This is also one of the result you should remember. Next we have got some standard derivatives, okay, especially the trigonometric functions. The proof of them as given as the example, you can just see by yourself. If you don't understand, you let me know. Okay, so I'll just write down because they are very useful. This year also, next year also, even this year you require in physics also. Number 1, d by dx of constant, any constant term, okay, negative, positive, rational, irrational. If it is a constant term, answer is 0, derivative is 0. Then d by dx of x power n, okay, that what we proved just now here, that is power n here, n into x power n minus 1. Number 3 is d by dx of sine, the derivative of sine is cos. Number 4, d by dx of cos x is minus sin x, the derivative of cos is minus sin x. Number 5, d by dx of tan x, that is sec square x, derivative of tan is sec square x. Number 6, d by dx of cot x equal to minus cos x square x, derivative of cot x is cos x square x minus, okay. And 7th is d by dx of sec x equal to sec x into tan x, derivative or differentiation of sec x is sec x into tan x. 8, derivative of cosec x or d by dx of cosec x equal to minus cosec x into cot x, okay. You can see these are more or less the same, these two are same, these are also more or less the same, okay. So you try to remember this and learn nicely because these are all important things. Today all that we have done, the theory part, all are important, so I expect you to study nicely, otherwise you will not able to solve the questions. Plus these are the elementary things which you need it for the future or further studies. We'll keep this much for today. Thank you very much.